Hey, everybody. Yes, it's time to go out to the other coast of the United States and find out what's happening with Michael Snyder as he takes a look at all this week's films. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Alex. How you doing, pal?
Fine, thank you.
Good to know. It's one of those weekends when things get split up in terms of important releases, and it's also one of those weekends where, because of my schedule and my little back and forth between LA and San Francisco, I haven't seen what apparently is a significant movie opening this weekend, and that's the Emoji Movie. And I was really thrilled to see this animated film where one of my favorite actors, Sir Patrick Stewart, voices a pile of shit. And then I started seeing the reviews, and that's what they said the film was. And I ended up not being able to see it. So, you know, you're on your own with the Emoji Movie. And the sequel to An Inconvenient Truth, again, they were showing it in Los Angeles when I was in San Francisco and vice versa. But opening in selected cities this weekend, one of the better films I've seen this year. Shall we get to it?
Yes.
Detroit. The latest feature from Oscar-winning director Catherine Bigelow of The Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30 fame is like those movies set in a war zone, only it ain't overseas. It's the city of Detroit, Michigan, in the summer of 1967, when police clashed with inner-city residents in some of the most devastating riots in American history. And again, the title of the movie is, conveniently enough, Detroit. And despite being a period piece evoking that earlier time and specific place, it's in no way a dusty corner of history. This is powerful, gripping, and still hot topic relevant in 2017 because it addresses issues of law and order, race relations, and economic oppression, especially as regards the black community. The backdrop is riot-torn Detroit, but the crux of the story is a true incident that occurred at an inner-city motel, the Algiers, where the police and a troop of National Guardsmen, all led by a violent, baby-faced, racist Detroit cop named Krause and his partner, investigate a possible sniper in the building. Krause has already been reprimanded by his superiors for his brutality towards black suspects, but he's determined to find the shooter and the weapon no matter what. The young British actor Will Poulter, who's been in stuff like The Maze Runner, plays Krause, and he is disgustingly believable, even if he looks kind of like Dylan Baker and Carrot Top had a baby. Man, them eyebrows. Plus, John Boyega of Attack the Block and the current Star Wars movies is totally on point here as a law-abiding black security guard who tries to help find the sniper and gets embroiled in the tragic circumstances. One of the actual participants in the core event dramatized here was the lead singer of The Dramatics, the Motown vocal group, just when they were starting out. And newcomer Algie Smith handles the role beautifully. There's a Vietnam vet played by the always reliable Anthony Mackie, some good-time brothers clowning around despite the gunshots, fires, and looting going on in close proximity to the motel, and a couple of young, cute, free-spirited white girls looking for fun and finding the opposite. As a matter of fact, one of the girls is played by British actress Hannah Murray, who is unrecognizable here as her scruffy peasant character, Gilly from Game of Thrones. Yeah, this is not Gilly, let me tell you. How powerful was the film? Absolutely drained by the end of Detroit. It offers no easy answers, no solutions. It's kind of unblinking and unvarnished in its depiction of the tensions and the mistrust and the inhumane situation that develops here. Nothing is sugarcoated. I guess like War for the Planet of the Apes and Dunkirk, this is going to be in the Ward's discussion at the end of the year, and I think deservedly so. Detroit gets a positive endorsement from me. Atomic Blonde, considerably more fun and possibly a little more violent, albeit in a cartoon style. Atomic Blonde stars Charlize Theron as the titular blonde, and it's action plus. Forget about all the Atomic Bond jokes. This is a little more like a John Woo movie crossed with a Len Deighton novel if Chow Yun-fat was a super hot white woman. Yeah, there are plot issues and weird narrative choices, and some characters are either a bit too enigmatic or too over the top to believe, but man, this thing is a wild ride. It's the late 1980s in Berlin, right before the wall is going to come down, although this spy versus spy gang in Atomic Blonde doesn't know that that's what's coming. They're all still fighting the Cold War espionage division. So Theron is Lorraine Broughton, a spy for the British Secret Service. She's been sent to Berlin by her boss at MI6, played by Toby Jones, and she's supposed to recover a film or file or some sort of dossier that's going to blow the cover of numerous spies in the West if the East Germans and their Russian masters get a hold of it. There's also a Stasi agent ready to defect to the West if the good guys can get him and his family out of East Berlin alive. He's played by the great Eddie Marsan, by the way. In order for Lorraine to complete her mission, she has to team up with MI6's British Berlin station chief, David Percival, played by James McAvoy. And when the whole operation starts to fall apart, Lorraine is forced to improvise. The fighting and the stunts are top shelf. And I mean, you can see how Charlize could have suffered some serious injuries during the shoot. Plus, the supporting players are fine, especially John Goodman as a CIA agent, and Sophia Boutella, who was recently in the Mummy reboot and was the villainess in the first Kingsman film. She plays a sexy French girl with a yen for Lorraine and a few secrets of her own. We've seen this sort of thing before, only now it's a post-Wonder Woman world. And it's nice to see the gal doing all the ass-kicking. But there's a ton of new wave rock throughout, befitting the late 80s. Not that I wanted to hear, some of these artists again, but it's nice to hear voices carried by Till Tuesday and Under Pressure by Bowie and Queen, and 99 Luftballons by Nena, not so much. In any way, I liked Atomic Blonde. I mean, it explodes right at you while you watch it, and it's pretty forgettable when it's over. So, yeah, tentative, favorable response here. Now, for Charlize Theron fans, she stars in a second movie to be released at the exact same time as Atomic Blonde, although this one is far more self-important and pretentious. It's called The Last Face, and Sean Penn directs her as the director of an international aid organization in love with Javier Bardem's completely badass relief doctor, Miguel, who has devoted his life to working in refugee camps to save the locals. So it's a love story set in war-torn Africa with all the tragedy and gore the setting implies. I mean, it means well. I'm sure Penn's heart is in the right place. We've seen what he's done in real life for the underprivileged and the under siege. But man, this is a waste of talent and a waste of time. Penn has directed a few fine films, most notably Into the Wild and The Crossing Guard, but this is not one of them. It's a total misfire. I mean, it's trying to have its humanitarian social justice gruel and eating its romantic cake, too. I mean, the script and dialogue are occasionally laughable, and the horrors around this couple so dwarf this petty relationship issues that they have that it becomes ridiculous. The African landscapes are beautiful, but Penn lingers on them too long to no real effect. Plus, the movie totally wastes Jared Harris and Jean Reno in nothing but glorified cameos as Miguel's fellow relief workers. All of the speechifying of Charlize Theron's character can't make up for the trivialities of the relationship angst. Adele Chopoulos, whatever, the pretty young actress who was in Blue is the Warmest Color. She shows up here for a second or two as a romantic complication for the couple. I just didn't care. Brigsby Bear, on the other hand, I got a big kick out of. It actually stars, of all people, Kyle Mooney from Saturday Night Live. He plays James, a stunted young man who's been kept safe from the world by his elders, Mark Hamill as Ted and Jane Addams as April, who are encouraging his love for, obsession with, like kind of a Sid and Marty Krofft style kids TV show called Brigsby Bear. The result, after a few plot twists, is an off-the-wall dramedy about what happens when he can get no comfort anymore in that fantasy world, what he does to deal with it. Claire Danes, Greg Kinnear, Matt Walsh, Michaela Watkins, and Andy Samberg are all in it, but I don't want to reveal too much about the movie for fear of spoiling the gentle pleasures here. It's the best film to date from the Lonely Island guys, I will say that, who with Andy Samberg did a lot of video work for SNL. It's kind of nuts, but I really dug Brigsby Bear. Let's wrap things up as quick as we can here with Person to Person, kind of a promising Woody Allen-type ensemble comedy from writer-director Justin Guy Deffa. It's set in contemporary New York, shot in 16 millimeters, and makes good use of the not-so-mean-anymore streets, as a few vivid characters and a couple of annoying ones interact in various ways over the course of the film. There's a murder investigation being covered by a reporter and his intern, a vintage record deal that goes wrong, a depressed guy who shouldn't have posted nude pics of his cheating girlfriend on the net, a couple of teenage girls playing hooky, and so on and so forth. I thought Person to Person was pretty good. Is it great? Not really. I will point out that Michael Cera is in the film, and he's his usual kind of weirdly creepy self. Abby Jacobson's good. And Michaela Watkins, back for a second film this weekend, plays a woman under suspicion of murder. Philip Baker Hall also makes an appearance here as a guy who fixes clocks. Person to Person, not going to win awards, but I thought it was pretty cool. What do you got going on anyway? What are you watching?
Nothing. I went and saw Dunkirk, and I thought it was terrific, just terrific. But that's about it. You know, haven't really watched much of anything else. Watching Ozark on Netflix, and
what's your gut feeling about that?
It's mediocre. It's mediocre.
I see. Something of interest is dropping today. The Last Tycoon will be rolled out in its entirety by Amazon. It's an adaptation of the F. Scott Fitzgerald novel, starring Matt Bomer as a movie executive, Kelsey Grammer as his boss, and I guess Lily Collins, she of Phil Collins' daughter fame and eyebrows, as a ingenue and the daughter of the movie studio head. I really liked the pilot. We'll see how it goes.
I thought the pilot was okay, but it wasn't great. So we'll have to see. We'll see what happens with those things. Anyway, tell them where they can find you, Michael.
I'm on Twitter at Culture Blaster and on Facebook at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page. Click in, like the page, listen to Alex and I jibber jabber, and hopefully I'll be back next week.
Okay, and the rest of you just stay right where you are, because there's more GABNet coming right up.